Every day begins with a need to move with purpose, to shop without stress, to send without fear, to pay without delay. For every rider chasing time, for every home that needs restocking, for every voice that needs connection, for every dream that needs delivery. Now, one app brings it all together.
Supercab, move smart, ride safe, supermarket, groceries, gadgets, everything. Supercash, airtime, bills, transfers, done. Super logistics, fast, secure, right to your door.
It's more than an app. It's your movement, your market, your money, your connection, all in one place. Supergo, one app for services endless. Download Supergo today. Live free, live fast, live smart.
No time to shop, no stress. With Supergo, your groceries comes to you. Partner with trusted vendors, verified stores, no delay, no excuses, just values. Supergo Supermarket, your market now in your hands. With Supergo, your ride is comfortable, easy, and convenient. Supergo is more than an app. It's a movement. Moving people, powering threats, delivering value.
Do you want to score 280 and above in JAMB? At Taraba Business School, we can make your dream come through. Register now for our JAMB and CBT training. Intensive JAMB and WACE coaching classes with experienced teachers is ongoing. You will also be trained on computer-based training, CBT. Visit Taraba Business School today. We are located opposite Civil Service Commission, 183 Hamarua Way, Jalingo, Taraba State. You can call the following numbers for inquiries: 080 602 69140, 070 634 28464, 080 606 60861.
Welcome to SOM TV World News and good afternoon. I am Moses Peter and today we bring you accurate, timely and trusted reports from around the world as events unfold. Stay with us for the stories shaping our world. The Philippines is considering a nationwide ban on vapes due to rising youth use and deceptive marketing. Health Secretary Teodoro Hembosa stated that e-cigarettes are widespread among high school students, driven by flavored products and cartoon-styled packaging. The Department of Health cites serious health risks, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, and severe lung injuries. The World Health Organization, WHO, warns that e-cigarettes are driving a surge in nicotine addiction among children, with young people more likely to vape than adults. Neighboring Malaysia is moving ahead with a phased vape ban, starting with refillable devices. Several Malaysian states already enforce local bans. In the Philippines, regulators are tightening rules requiring mandatory permits for vape promotions and advertisements, and strict age gating for online content. Public comments are open until December 15. The DOH is open to prohibition, and the country appears aligned with regional efforts to rein in vaping. A South Korean woman has been sentenced to 4 years in jail for extorting Major League Soccer player Song Heung-min, claiming she was pregnant with his child. The woman, identified as Yang, demanded money from Son, threatening to make her pregnancy public unless he paid her 300 million won, equivalent to $205,000, and later tried to extort an additional 7 million won. Yang and a male accomplice, who was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment, used Son's fame to their advantage, causing him significant mental distress. The Seoul Central District Court ruled that Yang's actions were a serious offense, and a failure to confirm the identity of the child's father was also noted. Son, who plays for Los Angeles FC, had previously stated that he knew Yang but had received a demand for money with fabricated materials. His representatives were unavailable for comment on the court's decision. The U.S. has omitted denuclearization of North Korea as a goal in its new global security roadmap, sparking speculation of potential talks between President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The document focuses on containing conflict with China and boosting military power of Asian allies, chiefly South Korea and Japan. The omission has fueled expectations of a diplomatic breakthrough, with Kim indicating willingness to talk if treated as an equal nuclear state leader. Trump has expressed willingness to meet Kim proactively, and South Korea believes conditions are ripe for talks in 2026. Analysts say peace talks would cement Kim standing at home and prove he delivered on promises. The US and South Korea deny any policy shift, stressing nuclearization remains the goal. South Korea is bolstering its defense, pledging 3.5% of GDP to military spending by 2035. The US has removed denuclearization of North Korea as a goal in its new security roadmap, sparking speculation of potential talks between President Donald Trump and North Korean leader. The document focuses on containing conflict with China and boosting military power of Asian allies, chiefly South Korea and Japan. The omission has fueled expectations of a diplomatic breakthrough, with Kim indicating willingness to talk if treated as an equal nuclear state leader. Analysts say peace talks would cement Kim standing at home and prove he delivered on promises. The US and South Korea deny any policy shifts, stressing denuclearization remains the goal. However, South Korea is bolstering its defense, pledging 3.5% of GDP to military spending by 2035. Thailand and Cambodia's border conflict has escalated, with Thailand launching airstrikes after accusing Cambodia of breaching a ceasefire agreement. The conflict began in May 2025 with both countries accusing each other of firing first, resulting in deaths and displacement of civilians. A ceasefire agreement was brokered by US President Donald Trump in July 2025, and an enhanced agreement was signed in October 2025. However, tensions resumed with Thailand halting implementation of the pact in November 2025 after a landmine blast injured a soldier. The conflict has seen heavy artillery fire, rocket attacks, and airstrikes, with hundreds of thousands of civilians evacuated. The US had previously nominated Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize for his role in brokering the ceasefire. Indonesia's Sumatra Island is facing a massive recovery bill after devastating floods and landslides claimed 950 lives, with 274 people still missing as of Monday. The storms also affected neighboring countries, killing about 200 people in southern Thailand and Malaysia. The Indonesian government estimates that 51.82 trillion rupiah, equivalent to $3.11 billion, is needed for reconstruction and recovery efforts across 3 provinces: Aceh, North Sumatra, and West Sumatra. Aceh province requires the largest share, with 25.41 trillion rupiah allocated for relief efforts. President Prabowo Subianto assured that the government has the capacity to manage the recovery process, stating the point is, we have the capacity and we will do it meticulously and do our best to manage it. The reconstruction process is set to begin soon in areas that have recovered relatively well, with temporary housing being built for affected families. Australia's social media ban for under-16 set to take effect on December 10 has raised concerns among mental health experts and teenagers. The ban, which blocks access to platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, may worsen feelings of isolation and anxiety during the upcoming holiday season. Teenagers like Iris Tolson and Annie Wang are worried about being disconnected from friends and social media, with Tolson saying, "You are basically isolated for about 6 weeks during the school holidays." Experts warn that the timing of the ban just before the longest school break may exacerbate mental health issues, particularly for marginalized groups. Youth services are preparing for a potential surge in referrals, with Kids Helpline training additional counselors and Headspace monitoring the situation. The government plans to collect data on the ban's impact over the next 2 years, but some experts argue that more support is needed for young people during this transition. China's Liaoning aircraft carrier conducted intense air operations near Japan, launching around 100 takeoffs and landings as it sailed into the Pacific Ocean. Japan's self-defense forces scrambled aircraft to shadow the vessel, with Tokyo protesting China's actions as dangerous and regrettable. China denies wrongdoing, claiming Japan's aircraft endangered flight safety. The incident escalates tensions between China and Japan, with Tokyo warning it could respond to any Chinese military action against Taiwan that threatens Japan's security. China claims Taiwan and has increased military pressure on the island, whose government rejects Beijing's claims. Japan hosts thousands of U.S. Marines in Okinawa, and the U.S. has voiced support for Japan in the dispute. China's actions have prompted diplomatic barbs, with Beijing advising citizens not to travel to Japan and suspending seafood imports from Japan. An Australian firefighter was killed overnight after being struck by a tree while battling a bushfire north of Sydney. The 59-year-old man suffered a cardiac arrest and died at the scene near Booladella, 200 kilometers north of Sydney. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese honored the firefighters' bravery, stating, "We honor that bravery every day." The bushfires destroyed homes and burnt large areas of bushland in New South Wales and Tasmania. Over 50 bushfires were burning across New South Wales, with 16 homes destroyed in the Central Coast region. In Tasmania, 19 homes were destroyed and 40 damaged in a blaze at Dolphin Sands. Authorities warn of a high-risk bushfire season during Australia's summer months, citing increased chances of extreme heat and climate change as contributing factors. The country is still recovering from the devastating Black Summer fires of 2019 to 2020, which destroyed an area the size of Turkey and killed 33 people. The United Nations has appealed for a $23 billion aid budget for 2026, a significant reduction from the $47 billion it had initially hoped for in 2025. This drastic cut forces the UN to prioritize only the most desperate cases, shutting out tens of millions of people in urgent need of help. The funding costs come amid soaring humanitarian needs, with the UN identifying 87 million people as priority cases. However, around a quarter of a billion people require urgent assistance, and the UN aims to help 135 million at a cost of $33 billion if funding allows. The biggest single appeal is $4 billion for the occupied Palestinian territories, primarily for Gaza, which has been devastated by the Israel-Hamas conflict. Sudan and Syria follow as the next priorities. UNAID Chief Tom Fletcher emphasizes the dire situation, stating, "We are overstretched, underfunded, and under attack." Benin's government has announced that it successfully foiled a coup attempt led by a group of soldiers on Sunday, December 7, 2025. Interior Minister Alassane Seydoux stated that the soldiers who briefly took control of state television aimed to destabilize the state and its institutions. The mutiny was short-lived as loyalist forces quickly regained control and President Patrice Talon remained safe. The coup plotters, identifying themselves as the Military Committee for Refoundation, claimed to have removed Talon from office and appointed Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tingri as head of a new military committee. However, Seydoux assured citizens that the situation was under control and daily activities could resume as normal. The attempted coup comes ahead of Benin's April 2026 presidential election, with Talon set to step down after completing his second term. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the African Union, AU, have condemned the coup attempt, emphasizing their commitment to democratic governance in the region. South Africa has ended its 90-day visa exemption for Palestinian passport holders, citing systematic abuse of the system. The decision follows investigations into the two charter flights that brought 153 Palestinians from Gaza to Johannesburg in November without proper documentation. The flights were arranged by intermediaries and passengers lacked return tickets, accommodation plans, and verified departure records. Home Affairs Minister Leo Strijberg stated that the exemption was being exploited, with some passengers prevented from carrying luggage and told to bring only US dollars and essentials. The move aims to prevent further exploitation and irregular relocation attempts while allowing genuine Palestinian travelers to apply for visas normally. Existing cases will still be processed and asylum seekers can apply. The decision reflects South Africa's commitment to safeguarding vulnerable individuals, and upholding immigration laws. Namibia's bid to legalize the international trade of rhino horns was rejected at the CITES summit in Uzbekistan. The proposal to allow controlled sales of horns from black and southern white rhinos received only 30 votes in favor out of 120, falling short of the required two-thirds majority. Namibia had argued that selling its stockpiled rhino horns could raise funds for conservation and alleviate financial pressure on the government and private rhino owners. However, opponents warned that legalizing the trade would fuel demand in Asian markets, increase poaching, and threaten already vulnerable rhino populations. The international ban on rhino horn trade in place since 1977 remains unchanged. Namibia is expected to retain its stockpiles, and conservation efforts will continue to focus on protecting the critically endangered black rhino and southern white rhino populations. Uganda opposition candidate Bobi Wine has accused security forces of beating him and his supporters during a campaign event in Gulu, northern Uganda. Wine, who is challenging President Yoweri Museveni in the January 15 presidential election, claimed he was hit in the face with a cane and several supporters were hospitalized. The incident has sparked concerns over escalating violence ahead of the election. Wine's National Unity Platform Party has faced crackdowns, with the UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk condemning the intensifying crackdown on opposition members, citing 550 detained supporters this year. Security forces claim Wine's supporters formed an illegal procession and campaigned beyond prescribed times. The police have not responded to requests for comment. Wine has vowed to continue campaigning, posting on X. All these because Museveni is dead, scared of the people. Benin's President Patrice Talon has announced that the government and armed forces thwarted a coup attempt by a group of soldiers. The coup plotters, who briefly took control of state television, claimed to have removed Talon from power and dissolved national institutions. Talon vowed retribution, stating this treachery will not go unpunished. Nigeria assisted Benin's government by sending Air Force fighter jets and ground troops to quell the uprising. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the African Union condemned the coup attempt. The coup attempt comes ahead of Benin's April 2026 presidential election, with Talon expected to step down after completing his term. The country's relative stability had made Sunday's event unexpected, given Benin's history of coups prior to 1972. 18 migrants lost their lives when their boat capsized 26 miles south of Greece's tiny southern island of Crete. The incident occurred on Saturday, and 2 survivors were rescued from the sea and taken to the island of Crete for medical attention. The boat was initially spotted by a Turkish cargo ship, which promptly alerted Greek authorities. This tragic event is part of a larger trend of migrant boat accidents in the region, which has seen a surge in recent years, particularly from Libya. Greece has been a key entry point for migrants and refugees from the Middle East and Africa, with over 1 million people crossing into Europe between 2015 and 2016. Despite a decrease in flows since then, fatal accidents remain a common occurrence, highlighting the ongoing risks faced by those attempting to reach Europe by sea. Tunisians have taken to the streets for a 3rd consecutive week to protest against President Kais Saied's crackdown on opposition, critics, and NGOs, demanding the release of political prisoners. The protests, which have gained momentum, accuse Saied of using the judiciary and police to suppress opponents and consolidate power. The demonstrations follow the jailing of dozens of opposition leaders, business people, and lawyers on charges of conspiracy to overthrow Said, with sentences ranging from 4 to 45 years. Protesters have carried banners reading "Opposition Not a Crime" and "Free Tunisia," while chanting slogans from the 2011 revolution that sparked Arab Spring uprisings. The UGTT Union has called a nationwide strike on January 21st to protest restrictions on rights and freedoms and demand wage negotiations. Said, who shut down parliament and began ruling by decree in 2021, denies accusations of authoritarianism, claiming to be rooting out corruption and mismanagement. South Africa's courts have delivered a series of stinging decisions against former President Jacob Zuma, indicating growing judicial frustration with his pattern of appeals and delays. Zuma suffered 3 major setbacks, including a High Court ruling dismissing his bid to appeal an order to repay 28.9 million rands in public funds used for his private legal bills. Judge Anthony Miller warned that Zuma's repeated attempts to litigate settled issues undermine equal justice, stating it is destructive of the notion that all are equal before the law. Zuma has 60 days to repay the amount or risks having his presidential pension attached. In another court appearance, Zuma's corruption case linked to the 1999 arms deal continued, with the state accusing him of using Stalingrad tactics to delay proceedings. Zuma's lawyer argued that trial delays and deceased witnesses prejudiced his client, but the state rejected this claim. Including the deployment of a multinational security force and Hamas, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is entering its second month, with both sides accusing each other of violations. Netanyahu stressed the importance of ensuring Hamas upholds the ceasefire and follows through on disarmament commitment. The plan's first phase involved hostage releases and Israeli control of 53% of Gaza. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz urged progress on the plan's second phase, which includes Israel's withdrawal, a transitional authority, and reconstruction. Merz said Germany is willing to help rebuild Gaza but awaits clarity on Washington's plans before deciding on contributions. You have been watching Some TV World News on Some TV. I am Moses Peter, thanking you for your time and trust. Join us again for more global updates, balanced reporting, and stories that matter. Thank you for watching.